Hi friends, it's been a little while since we have looked at Owl Moon. We're starting session 6 in our reading longer books and amping up our reading power section of our reading lessons today. And today we're going to be focused on recognizing literary language. So readers, I have to tell you something before we get going now. Last night I got an email blast from the same 3 reading scientists who told us that second grade is the time when kids start reading silently and that rereading, especially aloud, helps readers with their in their head voices. The reading researchers said again how important second grade is for growth in reading, but this time they were talking about something a little different. Listen to what they wrote. Are you ready? Research bulletin about second grade readers. Researchers have found that the books second graders read often contain language that is used in playful and inventive ways. Second graders who are especially skilled readers pay attention when a writer has used words in special ways because they know that those passages require extra thought. But that was the end of the announcement. I looked for more, but that was it. So now what do we do with this news? I started thinking about whether we have been paying extra attention to passages that use language in playful, inventive ways. Have we been reading right by those passages? Not even noticing? And so then I started to worry that we're zooming by all of that literary language. Today I want to teach you that when authors use language in especially inventive and playful ways, it's kind of like they're pulling on a reader's sleeve and saying, notice this. Skilled readers notice when an author has done something special and think extra hard to make sure they understand what the author is trying to say or show. So, readers, earlier we read aloud parts of Jane Yolen's book, Owl Moon. We tried to read the book with feeling, picturing the scenes as we read. So like, for example, this part right here. Let me make sure that you can see it. So, I don't know. So let's just go ahead and I'll read this to you. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went owling. So let's reread a couple parts of this book. And this time, if you notice special language, maybe the author compares one thing to another or makes up words or uses words in unusual ways, will you point out that she has done something special? Something that deserves extra thought? So this time, let's not just read right past those parts. I'm going to reread from the middle of the book when Pa and the narrator are deep in the woods. Okay, so this is the picture that goes with it, and here is the text. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read it, and put up your hand, your digital hand, or just hold up your hand if you hear something that is particularly inventive or playful or intentional. Okay, we reached the line of the pine trees. Okay, let me start over because that was sloppy. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called out, hoo-woo, hoo-woo, the sound of a great horned owl. Hoo-woo, hoo-woo, hoo-woo. Oh my gosh. All of a sudden I looked up and I see so many hands out here. So, I almost didn't see you, but you guys noticed something? I'll pause and you can tell me about what you noticed. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that we paused and you talked about what you noticed. So one of the things that I really wanted to talk about a little more was the moon made his face into a silver mask. He looked up as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. And you saw that too. Okay, so Good thing you stopped me, because to pay special attention to language, I do a few things. First, I notice it. And guess what? I do have an anchor chart for this. So understanding literary language means pay attention to the special language. Notice when words are used in special ways. Second, I reread that part. Third, I recall what's going on in the story at that point. And fourth, I question what the author is trying to convey with the special language. I ask, why did the author use these particular words? What special meaning does the author want me to get? So now I want you guys to talk about what is going on in the story at this point. So I will pause and you can just raise your hand and we can have a conversation about what is happening right now. Okay, friends, so each of you, I want you right now to stand up and act like your Pa, okay? So act like what Pa is doing and just like feel that for a moment. I'll pause again while you act like Pa. Okay, so now that you have the feel for that, I'm gonna read this aloud again. And while I read it, I want you to act like Pa, okay? So everybody should be standing up and you're all acting like Pa. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo-hoo, the sound of a great horned owl. Hoo, hoo-hoo-hoo, hoo. So, what does that mean that Pa searched the stars as if reading a map up there? What does the author want us to know about how he looked up in the sky? I'll pause and you can share that with me. I agree. This comparison shows that Pa was staring really hard at the sky, like you stare at a map. Some of you said that Pa was looking at the sky because he was trying to find clues about where the owl might be. I'm so glad that you have those brains clicked to on. So I'm going to reread another passage from Owl Moon. Will you do the same sort of thinking without my help? So right here, it's this part. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo-hoo, the sound of a great horned owl. Hoo-hoo-hoo. So what kind of special language do you see here? And what do you think it means? I'll pause while you share your thinking. Readers, you all know that the moon didn't really turn Pa's face into a silver mask, but you notice that Jane Yolen uses these words in a special way to create a particular image, and you reread that part carefully. You remembered what was happening in the story. This is the part where Pa first calls out into the night like an owl. And then you talked about what special meaning the author was trying to share. Some of you said that maybe Jane Yolen is trying to show how brightly lit Pa's face is or how the moon is that night. These are all great ideas. This is the type of work readers do to think about why an author chooses certain words. So readers, those researchers were right that the books you're reading now use playful, inventive language. Lots of times, authors will use words that you and I know. They aren't new words necessarily, but the author does something special with the words, maybe using them in a new way. Today, you got some practice noticing passages where the author has done just that. You gave those passages extra thought so that you would get what the author is trying to say or show. So, as you go off to read today, I want you to make sure that you're looking for those passages. Today, I am going to take a picture of this page right here, and you're going to tell me about the special language you noticed and why did author Jane Yolen choose to use that language. I'm excited to hear about it, friends. Thanks for listening, working hard, and reading with me.